Let's talk about poop. My name is Tina B, and you're interested in poop. And that's really, really good because you have a doozy headed your way in around T-minus 2 to 5 days. And you might be thinking to yourself, why is it going to take me that long to have a poop after I have a baby? That sounds terrible. And chances are it's going to be. It's kind of like pooping out a briquette after passing a human being out of your body one way or another. Some of you get to skip probation. You're going to have your postpartum poo right away after having your baby, and good for you. Count yourself lucky, but a lot of us get lumped into that mandatory waiting period, and we're waiting for that postpartum poop to come along. And that is because our pelvic floor muscles and our abdominal muscles, they can be really, really tired after being very pregnant and after having a baby. And when you're having a baby, a lot of people poop. If you didn't know that, breaking news, a lot of people poop while you're pushing your baby out. So there might not actually be a lot of poop in there. You got to wait to make more before you can have your postpartum poop. Also, if you're on any medications post C-section or post a traumatic vaginal birth, those can cause constipation as well. And some of us are dehydrated after having a baby. Drinking is not our number one priority. We have other things to do, and that can also contribute to postpartum constipation. And then, of course, we're not really moving around as much as we were before we had a baby while we have a newborn. Maybe you're recovering from that vaginal birth, or maybe you're recovering from major abdominal surgery. All of these reasons make it so that we sometimes have to wait to experience the joys of the postpartum poop. All right. Now you know that the poop is coming, and you know that it maybe isn't going to be that enjoyable. So let's try to make it a little bit less miserable for you. My first rule, when you feel the poop knocking, open the door and let it out. Do not for any reason delay having a poop when you feel the urges. Sometimes you're busy, or you have your new baby, or you think, oh, I'll get it next round. Don't do that. If you feel like you have to poop, make the poop come. Because if you get your poop down low enough where you feel like you have to poop and you ignore it, now the next time you try to go poop, you're going to have this really rock hard piece of poo right down low, blocking the rest of your poop from coming out, making it even more miserable. So if you gotta go, go. My next rule of thumb, your bowels are big copycats. So if you move, your bowels will move too. Try to get up and move as soon as you are able to, and as soon as it's safe to do so postpartum, because that movement is going to help those bowels to get moving, and it's going to help to move that poop to its final destination. Got to butter things up and set the mood for the poo. The first thing I want you to think about is hydration. I mean, come on. We know that water intake is really, really good through all stages of life, but hydration is really important after you've had a baby. Hydration is going to help you with wound healing. It's going to help you with breast milk production, and making sure to take in enough H2O is going to help you feel better physically and mentally. So increase your water intake and stay hydrated. And if you're smart, you'll use this water as a chaser for a stool softener or a laxative so that the poop is much more manageable when it's actually time to push it out. But how do you decide between a laxative or a stool softener? And then when you go to the store and you look at all the shelves, how do you pick the item off the shelf that's going to be the most effective for what you need and the safest for when you have your baby? Listen, I took this class a long time ago in nursing school. I think it was called like pharmacology, something like that. Anyway, let's go over it together because I feel like we could both use a review about what all the different types of stool softeners and laxatives there are and how they work. All right, because nothing in life is simple, there's actually 4 different types of laxatives for you to choose from. I don't get it either. Who was like, that laxative is working really, really good. But I think we need 3 other types of laxatives to choose from. Regardless, let's go over them. The first type is called a bulk-forming laxative. This actually adds like a gel to the stool, which collects water on top of it, which increases the bulk of the stool itself, which stimulates your bowels to work. But these are going to take 2 to 3 days to start working. An example of this one would be a Metamucil. The next type is called an osmotic laxative. This one actually draws water into the poop from other areas of the body to help make it softer overall. Again, it takes around 2 to 3 days to work. Examples of this is going to be Restoralax or Lactulose. The third type, which by the way is the most effective short-term for you after you've had a baby, is called a stimulant laxative. These ones actually work on the muscles of the intestines to stimulate them to move the poop through your bowels down towards your bum so that you can push them out. They work in around 6 to 12 hours instead of taking days to work. Some examples of these are Dopalax and Senecot. And the last type is actually called a stool softener laxative. These ones work by allowing more water to get into the poop. Now, it doesn't draw the water in from other parts of the body like an osmotic laxative, but it allows more water to get into the poo to make it softer for you to be able to pass it. But these ones are likely the least effective at treating the constipation that we're talking about, that constipation that we need to fix pretty quickly. Example of this one is docusate sodium. Now let's cross off some of the more cringeworthy items that we need to cover. As you can imagine, taking a poop with raging hemorrhoids should not be on anybody's to-do list. So let's make those hemorrhoids feel a bit better before it's time for the poop to make its entrance. For hemorrhoids, you can do things like a sitz bath, where you sit in a shallow basin of water. It can be warm water or cool water, whatever feels better for you. Some people add things like Epsom salts if their provider has said it's okay to do. Soaking those hemorrhoids can make them feel much, much better. Also, do not forget to include your products that include witch hazel as an ingredient. So throw your Tux pads in there, or get some of those pre-made padsicles that we talked about in a different video out of the freezer and onto those hemorrhoids. Another reason postpartum bathroom trips are feared nationwide is because of the swelling. Oh my God. You are going to be so surprised how swollen your labia and your perineum can get after having a baby. And this is not restricted to people who pushed and had a baby vaginally. You can still have swelling down there if you had a C-section, because just being pregnant, that can cause swelling. And if you had any sort of labor before going into your C-section, you are still going to encounter swelling. So the next tip is to get ice onto your perineum as soon as you can after the birth of your baby, and to keep those ice packs on until you're feeling better. Because if you can reduce the swelling before you have to push that poop out, it's going to feel so much better. It's the moment of truth. It's date night. The poop has arrived. What can we pull out of our bag of tricks to make this more enjoyable? First thing I can suggest is a stool under your feet to make your knees higher than your hips. This is going to relax your pelvic floor, and it's also going to correct the angle between your anal canal and your rectum. And this is going to allow it to be nice and patent and flowing and allow that poop to come out. If you are a C-section parent, the best tip that I can give you is to splint your incision, meaning you take a blanket or a pillow, you place that object right on top of your incision, and then you hug that object against your incision as you bear down to have your poop. This is going to support that incision against the amount of pressure that is pushing against it from the inside as you are bearing down. This is also a really, really good tip if you are coughing or you are vomiting, if you are sneezing, if you are laughing or crying after you've had your C-section. Splinting against your incision is always a really, really good idea. And if you had a vaginal delivery, let me pass on the advice that my nurse gave to me after I had my first baby. When you go into the bathroom, you are going to take your big wad of toilet paper, and if you're going into the hospital bathroom, you're going to take a wad that's much, much larger than this, because hospital toilet paper is like 0.1 ply, am I right? Anyway, you take a nice big wad of toilet paper, and you're actually going to fold it up into like a little briquette, or like a little pillow, and you're going to utilize that little pillow to splint your perineum, meaning you're going to take it and you are going to physically push it up against the skin of your perineum, which is the skin between the vaginal opening and the rectum. Because if you had an injury or a tear or an episiotomy, that's the area of skin that's going to be affected, and you take that and you push up against it as you're bearing down to have your poop. And yes, for some reason, I'm doing all of that for you for this video. But in doing that, it's going to physically splint that area of skin, which is the weakest and the sorest, as you are pushing down and adding pressure to push your poop out of your bottom. Okay, did that help? Like, I'm not a magician, so I can't take the fear totally away, but hopefully some of these tips and tricks can make you feel confident enough that you can head into that bathroom and you can conquer that first postpartum poop. Now, I want this video to do really well. I want lots of pregnant people to see it so that they can also absorb these tips and tricks and feel like their first postpartum poop experience is not going to be as disastrous as they think it's going to be. So that Mr. Poop outfit that you saw in the very beginning, if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'm going to put it back on and I'm going to head out and I'm going to go grocery shopping. Of course, I will put it all on video and I'll pop it up on my channel for you to see as well. So give this one a like. Comment on it if you can. If you've been enjoying what you've been seeing, go ahead and subscribe to the community, and I will see you in the next video, which hopefully will be me in a poop suit in the grocery store.